Hello there. Welcome to this episode of Just a Few. Glad that you can join me for it. This is a platform that allows me the opportunity to provide biblical responses to questions from people just like you. My name is Patrick Antwine. Again, welcome. If you have a question and you'd like for me to attempt an answer, please feel free to submit that question via email. The email address is here on the screen, and I'll try to provide you with a response as soon as I can. Today's question is another one that has to do with interpretive issues to understanding what a passage actually means or is teaching. The question is, does Ecclesiastes, book of Ecclesiastes, teach that men are no different than animals in death? Let me, again, I think it's always necessary to do a little bit of a preamble before responding to questions like these. It has to do with this section of the Bible and poetic writings in the Bible in particular. One has to exercise much care in turning to the pages of the Bible's poetic literature, Hebrew poetry. When you turn there to establish doctrinal positions, be careful. Poets, whether ancient poets or modern poets, think and write differently than the average writers. For that reason, we have to give them broad latitude of expression and seek to understand their intent in the way they express themselves. So the book of Ecclesiastes is very challenging, and it is not a place to turn to for proof of certain views and teachings because of the nature or the type of the writings and what's happening in the mind of the writer. The main reason why the book poses a challenge to many is that its theme is that life apart from God is meaningless. He uses the word vain or vanity. The writer was in search of this elusive key that will unlock the mystery of life on earth. That is why the expression vanity and under the sun, those expressions appear very often. In other words, it has to do with seeking to live life apart from God's control. So don't get lost with the apparent frustrations of the writer. So there are different ways to view the book as a whole, but it is an inspired report of Solomon's reasoning. King Solomon is reasoning, and so he is constantly communing with his own heart, as we'll see in one of the verses in the passage here. So this is a dramatic autobiography of Solomon's life when he drifted away from God. It is a reflection of humanity's cry for a savior. It is an account of the quest of the natural man for the chief good in life. What is the meaning of life? In other words, this is a book which seeks to answer the question, can man discover meaning and purpose in life apart from God, just by enjoying physical things? And let's look at the passage now, which gave rise to this question. Ecclesiastes 3, verses 18 to 21. Here what is said. I said in my heart, this is the musings, this is what Solomon thinks. Not everything found in the Bible is something God says. It's an inspired record of something that God wanted in his word, but it doesn't mean that everything that's said here, is found here, that God said. So this is what Solomon was saying within his heart. I said in my heart concerning the condition of the sons of men, God tests them, that they may see that they themselves are like animals. That's what he's saying to himself. That's not what the Bible is teaching. Verse 19, for what happens to the sons of men also happens to animals. One thing befalls them. As one dies, so dies the other. Surely they all have one breath. Man has no advantage over animals, for all is vanity. All go to one place. All are from the dust, and all return to dust. Who knows? And notice the contrast here now. Who knows the spirit of the sons of men which goes upward, and the spirit of the animal which goes down to the earth? When he uses the word spirit, it means the inner being, the life within the person or the animal. So, as the writer considered the physical outcomes of the lives of animals and that of human beings, Solomon, concluded that both lives end in physical death. Yeah, if you look at it from a purely physical standpoint, animals die, human beings die. Based on that reasoning, and that reasoning alone, Solomon mused within himself that man has no advantage over an animal because both of them eventually return to the dust. That's what he's saying. Based on, if this is all there is to it, then man is no better than an animal because both of them are going to die. That's what he's reasoning. That's not what the Bible is teaching. However, of course, as he communed with himself, he acknowledged that the inner beings of humans may have a different destiny than those of animals. Yeah, animals have instinct and they have emotions and so on, so they have an inner nature, just like human beings have, but ours, as you'll see elsewhere in the Bible, is different and has a different destiny. If all there is to life is simply the physical body and our physical senses, then we would agree with Solomon that man and beast are equal, that life and existence ends with physical death. We'll agree with that if that's all there is to it, if you were only physical. But the rest of the biblical revelation does not reflect this. So if you come to this passage alone, we'll say if somebody comes to your house and stops at verse 20, you will think, when you're dead, you're done. That's it. You're no different than an animal. But the very next verse, verse 21, tells us that man and animals are different in nature and destiny. Man was created with spiritual faculties which give him the ability to exist forever somewhere. The image of God in man sets him apart from the animals. So these musings of backslidden Solomon do not teach us that man is no different than animals in death. No, that's not what the purpose of this passage is, or the book. These things reveal that man is innately different. Look at verse 21. From beasts, and our destiny beyond death cannot or can be expected to be different from that of mere animals. That's what this is teaching. It's a frustrated man trying to figure out life apart from God. And that's what he's talking here. This is not something God told Solomon as a reality. These are the musings or the thoughts of Solomon during his state of confusion and trying to figure out the meaning of life. Don't allow this passage to determine, at the expense of everything else in the Bible, to determine your view of the afterlife. My name is Patrick Antwine. I hope that clarifies your understanding of this passage. It's my pleasure to share my thoughts with you. So until the next time, grace and peace be multiplied.